And welcome to Coffee with Carriers. We're going to get started right now with Miss Kim Humbert, and we're talking about income planning and the Income Genius brochure we have here. So go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, and I apologize. I'm in the dark. I'm trapped in an impromptu office. So I just think that Income Genius brochure is just something nice for advisors to have in their back pocket. As you can see, just what's on the screen, it has some statistics that, baby boomers half of them or almost half of them will run out of money in retirement. Like you said earlier, Eric, it's so important to really consider, how they want to live, what type of lifestyle they want to have in retirement. Because as we know, what is Tom Higna's tagline? Every day in retirement is a Saturday.
Yeah.
So I think everything that we're going to talk about today is going to, help these clients feel a little bit more secure in their retirement. We've got some phrases and things to listen for when we're speaking with them. So those are just some cues, and then how to translate that into some action. So that's kind of what's on the page here. If you want to jump in and add.
Yeah. Well, I think the first tagline is something we need to pay attention to, right? 45% of baby boomers fear of running out of money in retirement, right? So half of people are concerned about running out of money. And, we know that the number one fear, they say historically goes back and forth between public speaking, which is what we're doing right now, and the fear of running out of money. And it's like, man, if we can help people overcome that issue, right? When somebody walks in your office, and I'm sure 99% of us are on the same page, right? Some producers just go straight for, I sell the same thing to everybody and I'm just going to pitch it to the world. And those people don't tend to stay in the business a long time. But as a consultant, our job is to ask questions and to help people overcome their issues, right? And I remember for years, I've had, agents. I remember a guy almost 20 years ago, he's like, and he sold term, right? He sold term insurance. And he's like, I could never ask someone for $100,000. And I'm like, we've sold billions of annuities. I personally sold millions and millions and millions of annuities. And I've never asked a single person for $1 ever, right? Because we don't ask people for money. We help them solve their problems. And by doing so, they're like, oh, well, I want to put this here, right? Is this something you want to take action on today? Is a great question. My friend, John Schultz asked every single client. John does over 20 million of new assets every month as a personal producer with no assistance. So if a guy's doing that kind of volume and that's his question, probably a good one to write down. But the reality is, if half the people are worried about running out of money, maybe we should be talking to them about that and just asking questions, right? Rather than telling them that they're fearful of it, just ask them. And then
I was just going to say that, we have some statistics that say that 3 out of 4 annuity owners have that confidence that their income is going to last through their whole entire retirement lifetime. Right. So I think, positioning annuity for either income now, income as well as income later, maybe even income for others. There's just a lot of considerations.
Yeah. So as you're doing it, some words to use, right? Words that work. This is a great chart. Rather than let's make an appointment to discuss, let's just visit and discuss your retirement plan. Rather than talk about annuities, let's talk about retirement security, retirement income protection, right? Those are much more powerful phrases. They want help meeting their needs. We offer investments and annuities and what do you do? We offer investments. No, we have retirement income solutions, strategies, ideas, right? That's going to open the door rather than shut people down, right? If you're on an airplane and you don't want to talk to anybody, then you'd be like, yeah, I do insurance and annuities, right? And they will go, oh, thank you. And they'll turn back around to their page. But if you want to have a conversation, these are great ideas. What rates are you seeking in retirement versus what rewards do you seek in retirement? Now, my screen's over here. I'm not ignoring you. And then create interest. Are you interested in annuity contract features? Said no one ever, right? No. But if you could have a lifetime income that won't run out no matter what happens with rates or market guarantees, is that something you'd want to discuss? Right? Have you heard about that? And just literally asking questions, having a conversation. But this is a great piece. You know, if you think this piece could be beneficial, and that's just page 2 of 7, you know, hey, feel free, raise your hand, send us a chat in the message. We'll get it over to you because it's great. 80% of retirees our 80% of retirement assets were not spent in retirement. Right. So that's another thing as we get into like transferring wealth. Anything on this one, Kim, that jumps out that you typically like to hit?
No, I mean, I think it kind of speaks for itself. Whoops, my screen is going a little crazy. Sorry about that. I think that one kind of speaks for itself. I mean, it just has some trying to support a 4% systematic withdrawal.
Right.
And that rule, that's all changed, and you can't do that any longer. But that a guaranteed income stream will be able to at least increase your chances of being able to support maybe not a 4% systematic withdrawal, but maybe closer to a 3. But I think providing any type of a guarantee increases your chances of sustaining the income that you are going to need in your retirement period. Everything is increasing. Everything. Groceries, gas, prescriptions, Medicare costs, everything is increasing. It's really scary. So I think if we can, provide something that's going to take some of that worry off of our minds, that's what annuities are going to do. They're going to give you a little bit, they're going to give you that peace of mind and know that, hey, I've got this budgeted, and now I can kind of feel like I have a little bit more control. I know what I can spend and go and have fun with.
Right.
Or enjoy it. And I mean, that's what we want to do in retirement, right? We want to enjoy retirement.
Right. And when you have that foundation so that you're not having to worry, and I know we're speaking to the choir, right? But when you have that foundation that you don't have to worry, you can actually be more aggressive in other investments. You can take risks that you otherwise wouldn't feel comfortable taking, or maybe you're comfortable taking, but you're married, right? So Saturday happens to be our 23rd wedding anniversary. And contrary to popular belief, Catherine and I don't always agree on everything, right? In marriage, it happens. And as you talk to, couples and stuff, and hopefully as you're talking, you're not just talking to one, because as you know, you're going to have to still talk to the other, or it's just going to get shot down. They aren't always on the same page. Typically, guys are more aggressive. The ladies are a little more conservative. For one, because they've seen how great the guys were at investing the money, A, and then B, they're going to outlive their husbands, right? It's a fact. It's just statistically known. So when we can set that foundation, it creates so much more freedom. But also one of the things that I jumped onto, 15 plus years ago, talking about the rule of 4% and the returns. There was a Dalbar report that came out after and Dalbar is this Boston think tank, right? It's super nerd group. And they put out a report. I can send it to anybody. Just request it. I'll send you the Dalbar report. It's a 1-pager. It's brilliant. And during that 18-year period when the S&P averaged 12%, right? It averaged 12.22% over that 18-year period. Everybody talks about it. The S&P averaged 12%. You'll get 12%. And dadgum Dave Ramsey's still talking about 12%. Well, that expired 30 years ago. But nonetheless, this 12% return. And it says during the exact same time period, the exact same years, the average investor, and this is a quote, the average investor made a paltry 2.57% return. So yeah, even when the market was booming and killing it, the average investor wasn't, because of fees, because of lack of guidance, because of whatever. So they're scared about, hey, when the market was down, right, they're getting their butt handed to them. Yet in income planning, which is what we're talking about today, we're talking about guaranteed growth rates of 6, 7, 8%, right? When the average investor made a paltry 2.57 in their retirement plan, we can guarantee 6, 7, 8%. You add to that the 4% rule, which Wade Fowle and all these others is saying now it's more like the 2.8 or 3% rule. And yet in our products, in the income planning products, we're getting, we're getting at least 4%. And that's typically for couples, but a lot of time it's 5 or even 6% guaranteed. So instead of growing at 2.5, we're getting 7 growth. And instead of paying out at 4 or 3, we're getting them 4 or 5. And then, but wait, there's more. With integrity, and this is, in fact, let me pull this up here real quick because I want to talk about some of y'all stuff before we get too far. I hate presentations where the insurance company comes in and they just lead with their financials and we're 10 minutes into it and we still haven't talked about the stuff we wanted to talk about, right? And I'm here and I'm like, I just lost 30 minutes of my life. So I wanted to cover like some stuff that's material, that it's like, hey, this is straight to the meat. And that's a great brochure. We've got fact finders. We've got all kinds of stuff. But one of the things that makes Western and Southern very unique, and I'm going to switch over to this presentation here, right here, is they've got, now admittedly, like I said, they've got a lot of income planning products. And Kim, if there was supposed to be a name on here, I took it off. That's my fault. If anybody gets in trouble for removing that, this product does focus on, it gives you a bunch of options, right? So it's not a one-hit wonder. But really, I just focus on one option, and that's what we're talking about today. And specifically right here, you're really not going to find this anywhere else. I know of 2 other products in existence, period, total, that offer this feature, right? So when it comes to income riders, there's a handful, there's a few that if you can't perform 2 of 6 activities a day living, it has a doubler, right? But 99% of those that have it, the doubler is only for one life. It's not for joint income. It's only for single life income. And also what we found with a lot of carriers, some big name ones that we're selling today, they don't allow you to be at home. They require you to be in a facility. No names, but a company that starts with A and ends with E, and one that starts with an N and has a really long name, those require you to be in a facility. And the reality is most people, and I love those carriers. We do business with them. There's nothing wrong. But 99% of people are never going to go into a facility. So why would we care about a doubler that covers something that nobody's going to use? And that's why this one's so unique. So Kim, I'm going to shut up for a second and I'll let you describe this and I'll jump in. But this is really unique.
So comment, just kind of piggyback on your being in a facility. We were with a nice strategy group. And someone that really focuses on long-term care had said, the baby boomers, right? That's our biggest generation. They're aging, they're living, everybody's living longer. Just think they're living to like 100 years old. And if they're losing their mental capacity, we don't have enough facilities to house all of these aging individuals. So to your point, you can't even get into a facility. You might not be able to get into a facility. So I think, this income doubler and being able to age at home is even more important now. That just kind of blew me away when I, had the realization like, oh my gosh, you're right. And if they don't have the space to get into that facility, what are they going to do? So they're going to be at home paying for something that they can't use, to your point. So this income doubler, I think, even becomes even more important. But what I really, really like about it is, and I'll say the optionality of it. So you can have an individual contract without the spouse even being named on the contract. Mm-hmm. And either the individual or the spouse has the option to trigger that doubling of income. You choose to actually ask for individual or spousal income. You can even choose for level or increasing income, and that is at the time of need. And with just two of 6 ADLs for the impairment. It is, it's after that feature is available after 3 years. So there's a 3-year wait on the index years, but then it's to either one. So just think, all of the contracts that you've paid for a rider, an individual or spousal rider that you have to like disclose up front, you have to choose up front. Maybe even you get divorced in that time period before you even want to trigger income. Well, now you're stuck. You're stuck with that spousal income for the most part. And you're paying for that spousal income and you're paying for that fee. And now you're single and you have a reduced benefit. Or vice versa. You're single when you go into it. Now you're married and you want that, that benefit for your spouse as well. So this particular rider, Expanse Rider, gives you that flexibility and that optionality of what we're calling it. And it's available in every single state except for New York.
Yeah.
Because it's not filed there. It's not, the product's not even available there.
But the point being, it's available in New York. And what separates it, I mean, it's not available in New York. That's the only place it's not. Join the crowd.
Right.
But again, what separates it from everybody else is you have a doubler for couples. It's not just a single life doubler. It covers both lives. And that is super, super rare.
Yeah. And
there's only 3 products, and the benefit of this particular one, why you would go with this one, other than it's got really good upside potential, is they're actually issuing contracts quickly, and they're paying commissions. So on time.
Yeah. And I will say too, that, a lot of the other products that have a doubler type of feature, it's limited on how long they will pay that out. So like 3 years, 5 years. And then it's going to stop. Ours will continue until the account value reaches 0. So you could have that longer period of time that it can be used for either individual.
Yeah. So it's a doubler for 2 lives, not just one. So that's huge.
Right.
It's available in every state except New York, and that's huge. The other thing that's going to separate them from everybody else, let's see if we've got, there is an enhanced death benefit. So that's, is talking about, now that's not income planning, that's more estate planning. But the fact is you can have a death benefit put on it so that if you're not using the income, you got the death. It's a 10% bonus that includes any gains that you've had in the contract, right? So it's a 10% to help, defer the tax or cover the taxes, right? At least help with that. May not cover it all, and it's payable in a lump sum.
And it credits up to death.
Yes. Another thing that came up now, as we're getting into a couple more advanced concepts, I'm working on a $2 million one right now. I've got a good friend of mine who absolutely happens to be a financial advisor like yourself, but he is a serial entrepreneur, and he has the fortune of selling one of his companies for $25 million the end of this week. So super excited. I hope that for everybody on the call, by the way. But, one of the things that they want to do, he and his wife, they wanted to just create a guaranteed income, right? They're used to this income. Well, now they're selling their company. And he is like, okay, the income this will provide on $2 million, it's going to be, it'll pay per year what we're getting per month right now, but we'll figure out the details. But one of the things we ran into is as we were selling his company and we're dealing with, I'm literally got tax attorneys involved and CPAs and all these, because we're doing some advanced planning stuff to make sure that at the sale of his company, he doesn't have to pay taxes on the sale of that company for 30 years. And yet we can still buy annuities. Well, one of the things that we've run into is under his new deal that he's setting up, it's going to be owned by an LLC. Well, a lot of companies won't allow an annuity to be owned by an LLC or, for an income rider. Well, when you look here, allows for various entities to be the owner, corporations, trust, 501c3s, qualified plans. So that's, how I said at the beginning, they're not just a one-hit wonder on this. They're a much broader scale. That does separate them out from a lot of other companies, is that they will take these various type of plans. And then while we're on kind of an advanced deal, and not just income riders, but the world of SPIAs, because Western and Southern Integrity has been #1 in SPIAs for years. And there's a couple things that separate them from everybody else. And Kim, I'm not stealing your thunder because I've got something I want to cover here.
You're fine.
But other than being the highest Comdex of any company in the independent channel as a whole, at least for income riders, which I'll show you their financials here in just a second. They offer liquidity when it comes to SPIAs that nobody else does as a whole. I think there's one or two other carriers, but as a whole, when you buy a SPIA and a single premium immediate annuity, that's locked in for life. There's no take backs or anything like that, right? Whereas with Integrity, love the name, if there's an issue that you need to get to your money, they actually have features built in at no extra cost so you can get to your money. And it doesn't hurt, right? When everything else is the same, especially when Integrity is number one on the SPIA quotes, which is very common. As a whole, SPIAs pay 3% producer commission, right? If you've ever sold one, they all pay 3%, pretty much without fail. Integrity pays more than that. They pay 3.75. They always have. Hopefully they always will. But when you've got the number one payout and you've got the highest rated company, that's putting the client first, right? That's doing what's in the client's best interest. But it sure is nice when you're getting an extra 75 basis points commission. And that's something that they do that you just don't see elsewhere. But Kim, there is something else you guys do that I think is really unique. And that is this concept that we've been talking about a lot for a while on the ability to, if you're concerned about being able to stretch something, maybe a non-qualified stretch or a qualified stretch, and the other carrier won't do it, but then it's like, when should I move the money? Should I wait till they die? Should I do it today? When should I do that?
Well, I didn't know we were going down that road, but I was so excited we're going down that road. The non-qualified stretch is like a little, I won't say it's a little known secret, but there are some people that know very well what that is. And that's basically just moving a dead person's contract over to another carrier for policies. Now, what we have found that, the rebuttal that we get is, we don't run into that very often. I'm like, there is $86 trillion that's going to be transferred between generations. Those are the boomers. And that's going to happen over the next 20, 21, 22 years. So there is opportunities. The boomers are getting older. Yes, they are living longer, but not all of them are going to live forever. So to solve that kind of rebuttal, because, people don't think that the opportunities are there. And by the time one does come up, they've already kind of forgotten what it is. Mm-hmm. So we've taken it one step further and thought, okay, how can we help these agents and these clients today in order to provide the most tax efficiency to their kids tomorrow? So what you would do now is basically work with your clients. So any of your older clients, and they don't even have to be older, but we're going to start with an older client just because we're very older client friendly. Look at your book, find your non-qualified contracts that are already out of surrender or coming out of surrender. And then see, if they have a low basis. Have they been growing these assets and accumulating all of these assets for many, many years? So you're looking for something that's going to have a really high basis that's already earmarked to pass on to the children. So we want you to actually bring them in, do the review, obviously, make sure that they still have that earmark to pass on to the kids. And then I want you to pick up the phone and call the carrier where that sits today and find out exactly what options are available to those kids when they would die, when mom or dad should die. If they do not allow a post-death 1035 exchange, which is a non-qualified stretch, I want you to consider moving it to a carrier that will allow that. Now, I say there are very few carriers, maybe this many, 5, that will take non-qualified stretches. Right. It's just not something that people want to get into. They don't understand it. Sometimes those carriers won't even allow it to be moved. So the idea is don't get stuck after mom or dad die. Don't get stuck and you're not able to help those kids. Some of those kids are probably going to be in their highest earning years with really high tax brackets. How would they feel if they just, inherited $600,000? Well, most of them would be like, oh, I'm going to go buy a boat. but it has half of it is gains. So yeah, you want immediate access to, also going to be immediately taxed. So we need to educate them and provide them with solutions that are going to be best for them. And by calling that carrier, finding out what is available, possibly picking that up and moving it to Integrity Life because of all of the features that we have available. Access, waivers of surrender for confinement and terminal illness. So many that we have available. Plus now making it a suitable sale is because, hey, this company is going to allow me and allow my kids to choose from all 4 claim options, not just a lump sum or maybe a 5-year deferral. So that helps to make that a suitable sale. So when you pick it up and move it to Integrity Life, you're going to get paid now while that client is living. You're going to establish the relationship with the beneficiary, because I want you to actually, when that policy is issued, I want you to call that client in. I want them to bring in their beneficiaries and tell them why they did this, not just for mom or dad, but also for the kids. And so you're going to be building that bridge and building that relationship with those kids. And hopefully you're going to establish that and keep growing that and possibly growing more assets. So once you bring that in and say mom or dad die, now you already have that relationship. You've already increased your chances of that beneficiary coming back to you and say, hey, mom did die. I really liked what you had set up. Let's do a stretch. Well, now you're going to get paid again on that younger life. So it's move it now or later if you're already working with a beneficiary. You're going to get paid now and you're going to get paid later. So that's where our now and later strategy comes in. We've been passing around now and later candies.
Right.
Because to tell you, we have a piece that's statistics. It talks about the 86 trillion that's going to transfer. Only 80% of the surviving spouses will stay with you. So the 80% are going to fire. I'm sorry, 80% are going to fire you. Only 20% will stay. And then of that 20%, 70% of those kids will fire you because there is no relationship there. So that's what we're trying to help you establish.
Well, and one of the keys is, if it stays where it is and they're not able to do a non-qualified stretch, then it's 100% taxable event. You have to take constructive receipt, and that's what it's called when you get the money, right? That's the legal definition, is constructive receipt. And the IRS loves that term because constructive receipt equals taxable event, right? But if you just take the time to set up a non-qualified stretch, and sometimes you can do that post-mortem after they die, but as Kim mentioned, there's very few companies that will do a non-qualified stretch. And here's the other part that's really cool about a non-qualified stretch. If you knew, under the Secure Act, the law changed for stretches, so you could no longer do a lifetime payout. You were limited to 10 years. Well, that law did not impact it. It did not affect, did not impact, did not infect. Yeah, it didn't infect it. That's a new word I just created right now. It didn't impact non-qualified stretches. So you can still do a lifetime payout on non-qualified stretches. Non-qualified just meaning money that you've already paid taxes on, but then you've got gains inside of it because it's an annuity and you have tax deferral. You got gains inside the contract, and those gains are fully taxable. So if you don't set it up correctly, when mom or dad dies, you've got a taxable event all at once on those gains. But if we literally just take the time, and it's checking a box on an app, it's not complicated. We do it every day. We can walk you through it. I'm very comfortable with the process, as is our team, as is Kim and the team. That allows them to not have the taxable event and to spread that taxable event over their entire life. And oh, by the way, if they're 60 years old, they're taking 2.5% withdrawal, yet their money made 4, 5, 6, 8% that year. So, you're taking this much and your money's growing by this much. So you're actually making a profit every year, even after your withdrawal, if you're just taking the minimum. And if you need more than that, that's why it's required. That's why it's called a required minimum distribution. It's not a maximum distribution. You can always take more. You just can't take less, right? So they can do qualified, a traditional stretch IRA. They can do, what we call an inherited IRA, which some people define those separately. We can do a non-qualified stretch. We can take corporate owned. We can take 501c3. Like there's a lot of options with Integrity. They have SPIAs, they have income riders, they have, delayed income. We've got a lot of options, but I wanted you to hear that because today's about income planning, and that's a huge income planning deal. Now, as we wrap up, because we want to keep this time abbreviated, there are a lot of tools and resources that are available to you. We have, personalized advertisements and postcards, and we have illustration software and consumer videos and product kits that are available to you that are client approved. In addition to that, we have some of the marketing pieces like we've been showing you today. In fact, let's see this other one.
The videos, just to interject for a minute, the consumer videos are really great also just to email out. And everybody has a YouTube channel as well, but they're really great tools to send out to clients or tell your agents about or whoever, to be able just to kind of get that foot in the door before you meet with them.
Right. So some of the pieces we have a more robust fact finder, income worksheet. Can y'all see this one? Is it on the screen?
Yep.
So this is just a one pager on monthly expenses versus monthly income. So you can see the income gap, right? Really simple. We have like a longer, it's an entire page going down of just, expenses versus income that you can figure that out even more. Those are available to you. We have this Retirement Income Matters brochure. So that's in addition to the Income Genius one that we looked at a few minutes ago. And the Retirement Income Matters, it's talking about, your peak earning years versus your income and, income matters, talking about lifespan, inflation risk, volatility risk, healthcare cost, right? Very well put together. It's got great graphics. It's got great stats. It's not about a product at all, right? The Income Genius brochure that we started with talking about income, this one on the retirement income, neither of these are talking about a product. They're not even talking about the carrier. And that's why I brought Kim on today to have this discussion, because they are creating pieces that look really good, that they're not pitching a product. They just want to empower you to be able to have these discussions. Withdrawals, how long will they last? Sequence of returns is a huge discussion. We have entire pieces and presentations just on sequence of return. If you're doing seminars, I can almost guarantee you're covering that in the seminar because it's such a big thing. When you take the money really makes a big difference, especially if your money's at risk, versus here in our world, it doesn't matter when you do it because there's no market risk. So this is, just going on in this brochure, harvesting, having a plan and sticking with it, enjoying your retirement with confidence. What is this? Don't think like a lottery winner. 70% of people who win a lottery lump sum go bankrupt within 5 years. Interesting stat to have on a piece talking to people about their retirement. So, we don't want to risk, even though I've also been told that it was some staggering number. And I don't know that it's 70%, but it was staggering the amount of people whose retirement plan is winning the lotto. Like that is their plan. They've saved nothing. They're going to have Social Security and they plan to win the lotto. And that's their plan. So it's terrifying, but that's what our job is to help the people who have planned. I always tell people we can work miracles as long as you have the money to fund it. But if you don't have the money, there's only so much I can do because we're not magicians. A couple extra resources that you have, and you may, again, we'll send this to anybody who requests it. But there's this retirement income calculator. It's just incomeinputs.com. It's really good. And then retirement talk videos, retirementtalks.com. Again, this doesn't say Integrity on it or Western and Southern. It's just giving you resources that are consumer approved. And then, one of the final things is why are we promoting them? And I talk about this every day. My son laughs every time. But the reality is, when you're doing planning, there's two different types of money in my book, right? I talk about this all the time. There's dating money and there's marriage money, right? And dating is short term. That's our MIGAs. That's our little 3-5 year. Hey, it could be a fling. It could be a fun time in Vegas. She's really cute and I just wanted to go out with her, right? That's dating. And there's nothing wrong with dating as long as you don't let a short-term decision have a long-term consequence, right? 18 years later, you have a son from that weekend in Vegas. There's, that's something that maybe you should have thought about. And that's why, I talk about the Guarantee Association. But if we're looking at marriage money, right, which as you're looking at a lifetime income, that's a lifetime commitment, right? If you're doing a lifetime commitment, which income planning is a lifetime commitment, don't you want a company that is committed back, right? So, hey, we have non-rated companies, we have lower rated companies, and I'll use those for a 3-5 year MIGA, right? I'm going to stay within the guarantee fund because I'm going to, there's that protection there. I'm not going to do something stupid and I'm not going to recommend it. And if you look at our rate sheet, our MIGA Monday thing that we put out each week, if that company is below B+, their maximum premium, as far as we're concerned, is $250,000, even though the carrier may say, $1 million. Because I'm like, no, you need to stay within the guarantee fund for these lower rated companies. But when you're talking about a lifetime commitment, you want the girl that you can take home to meet mom and grandma, right? You want that, all of those things. And that's why, I love the fact that Western and Southern was started in 1888. They're A+ rated. They've got a dadgum 96 Comdex. Show me another carrier in our industry that can state that. In the independent channel, there's one that's close, but I think that's about it. The Western and Southern is the name when it comes to, lifetime commitment money, because they've proven that they are, the girl next door that you want to take home to mom, that's going to be there for life and that's committed to it. So that's why I really endorse them. Are they going to be a fit for every case? No, nobody is. But when it's close, I do try to steer there because they have things like the doubler for couples. They have the AM Best rating in the Comdex, and they do issue contracts. They answer their phone. Kim shows up on webinars, right? So there's this relationship that just makes a lot of sense. So that's my part for today. Coffee with carriers. Everybody who joined, we're going to send you, these pieces that you can use. And Catherine.
And we're also sending out a $5 gift card to Starbucks. So you guys will get that in a little bit later on today.
Yeah.
Yay.
So thanks for joining us. Any final comments, anybody?
We're going to try to do some more of these coffee with carriers on different topics. So be looking out for those. We're going to try to kind of make this a regular thing with different speakers. If you guys have any requests or you want different people or different strategies to be discussed or concepts, then please let me know and we'll try to get people on here to do this. All right.
Right.
Yeah. I appreciate you honoring me today, and the strategies, all of our value add that's just there to help all of the agents and producers just really provide as best as what's best, for the clients and build their business.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.